And everyone was just, I don't know if it was in my mind, but everyone was looking at me like, she looks different. I was so distorted during that whole experience. They took out 3.5 kgs.
Each or
Both,
entire?
everything,
Both.
yes. And I opened up a WhatsApp group, and it's like people were ready to help. Others were insisting that I looked better before. Others were like, why would you go through such a surgery, and stuff like that.
Hi, Pauline.
Hi.
Welcome to the Tracydee channel. Kindly introduce yourself.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. My name is Pauline Buoga, and like you said, I hold a degree in supply chain management, and I'm practicing procurement currently. I love music. Music is my passion, and I've been doing it for a long, long time. So I also train worship teams. That's pretty much it. Some people say I'm a vocal coach, but I'm vocal coach muitu. I'm not really. I really haven't gone to school for that. But yeah, I train. Yes, I'm the second born in a family of 4. I love my parents. I love my family, and I just recently developed a passion for women health, considering the fact that I talk a lot about Gigantomastia. So yeah, that is something else that I do.
So before you take us through the condition that you used to have, kindly tell us how you grew up having that condition.
Okay, that is such a long time back, and I can honestly tell it's almost 2 years since I had the surgery, and I can't remember everything that I had because I've just been living on this side of the life. But I can tell you what happened. I think I first noticed that I had gigantomastia when I was in class 4, because that was when my breast started showing. And I have said this before. I remember a woman walking up to me and telling me not to slouch, that I can just walk straight. She was like, you're walking like this, because I'd already noticed that the changes were coming. And when I looked at my peers, they were not looking the same. Everyone was just looking fine, but I had extremely large breasts, yeah? So that is when I started taking note, and my esteem just went down. My parents will tell you that I was, because I've just told you that I love music. Every time I learned something in school, I would come and literally perform to my parents. Every time I learned a nursery school rhyme, anything that I learned in school, I would come and do it to them. But they started noticing that that was changing because I started withdrawing. Well, you've noticed that you're having these several changes on your body, so I started to withdraw. So I started putting on very baggy sweaters, and I'm not really dressing up. It's not really exciting to dress up. Whether it is hot or as cold as it is right now, I would have a jumper on top of it. So I would severally had these discussions with my mom. Of course, your parents will notice that there are changes. So my mom would talk to me. I remember several times my mom would be like, she would point out other people that had similar conditions, and she'd be like, look at her, and she's doing well. She's just trying to really encourage me. I know one time, she probably doesn't know this, one time I was walking towards her, and she was with my sister, and then she told my sister, she was like, whoa, yeah, I really feel like she's going through a lot, because my walking style was really bad, and you can really tell that it's a lot of weight, yes? So one time my parents decide that they want to take me to a doctor just to get, to find out if it's a medical condition or not. Because for most of the time, I thought, it's just my body. This is just how I was created. I didn't think that it was a medical condition.
What was the reaction of your father? You've talked a lot about
My
your
mom.
mom. I would like to know what the reaction of your father.
Well, I really don't think men are very upfront when it comes to adolescent changes. They're not the ones to take the discussion, really. He didn't talk about it before I had the surgery, but after the surgery, we had conversations that I can talk about when we get to the surgery. But
Okay,
yes.
okay.
So I was taken to a doctor, and I was really excited. I was taken to a doctor, and when the doctor checked me, he said, this is what he said. He said that my breast tissues, the lining of the breast, are very reactive to my hormonal changes. So anytime there's a change, then my breast will enlarge. And he told me not to have the surgery then because I was still young. And he was like, you can have the surgery way later. So the best thing that my parents did is that they took me to an all-girls boarding school, because I honestly do not know if I would have survived a mixed school, because even in the boarding school I would get very bad comments. So I don't know how bad it would have been if I was in a mixed school. So when I got to, let me talk about class 5. When I was in class 5, now they're really showing. And I didn't like PE. I didn't like going out for PE or any physical engagement. That was just my worst nightmare. So, you know, people like PE because you get to go outside. I didn't like that because I have to take off my sweater and I have to have this t-shirt and everyone has to look at me and just think, oh, she looks a bit different. Yes. So I was taken to a boarding school in class 6. And yeah, there were comments that were thrown even there. Like, people thought that I looked way older because there were times in high school we used to have this thing that we used to go for lunch and then you queue. So when you queue, the person that is going to give you the food will write down your name and the class that you're in so that you bring back the utensils. So every time they would write down, I would get there and then they ask me, what is your name? I'm like, Pauline Buoga. Form for what? And I'm in Form 1. I'm in Form 1. So these things continually play in your head. You look older. You look older. That is what you look like. And every time we had excursions and we were going out for, you know, music festival, I told you I like music. There's one time I was walking with a friend of mine, and I remember this boys' school, people are so rowdy. So someone looks out the window and yells, oh no, msichana. And then everyone looks at me and they all burst out laughing. And that had a major impact to my esteem. I remember just really feeling bad, really feeling horrible. It had a major impact to my esteem. And sometimes when you get into, you know, arguments with your friends, they would always point out that you look, you know, that's why you look like that. That's why you look this big. And I had people, you know, throw out comments like, why do you look like this? Why do you look so big? What is wrong with you? Is it a problem? And at that time, I still do not know that it's a medical condition. Showering with people was just something else. I think there were times that I would just leave the hostel slightly early just so that not everyone sees that my breasts are literally on my waistline. Yeah, I hated showering with people, I hated dressing up with them. So I wanted to do things slightly earlier than the rest so that not everyone is looking at me. So that is pretty much it. And every time I walked out, sometimes I'm walking with my dad and you have people on the road just hurling, you know, and saying things, madam when size yangu, you know, and those things. This is a 19-year-old and an 18-year-old. They are playing constantly in your mind, And I just didn't like that. I remember going for getting clothes was difficult. There's one time I went shopping with my sister. She had taken me to get bras. And man, I hated that day because she got like 100 of them and I didn't get one size that would fit me. So I remember identifying this one woman who would look for sizes for me. Every time she would get a size, she would call me and tell me, I have your size, you can come get it.
You are wearing which size?
I was a 36J. Yeah, that's
quite
large. Yes,
yeah.
That was a 36J. So even when you get that bra, then you have to adjust it on the sides, and then you still have the straps because you want to really tighten it so that your boobs look back. Yeah. So I had those lines. I don't think I have them anymore. That is really a good thing. Yeah. So dating was also really a problem. Because I did want to really date people my age. I think I wanted to date someone way older. Yeah. Because in my mind, yes, and then in my mind, I look older, so I cannot be with a younger person. Yes. And I hated dressing up.
So take us through, you've taken us through your primary level and high school level. Take us through your campus now.
My campus, I was pretty much withdrawn. I don't think people can tell you that I used to talk a lot. I was just class, hostel. That was just me. But I didn't get a lot of comments in campus. Yeah, but what I tend to think is that some people wanted to get to know me, not for who I am, but for what I had. So I was really, my antennas were just way up. So I'm not getting to know a person for who they are also. I'm just trying to find out, are you getting to know me because of what I carry? You understand?
Yes.
Yeah, so I was really pretty much guarded, so that even if someone is truly getting to know you, I'm just thinking in my mind, they could be experimenting. Yeah, they could just be experimenting. So my campus life wasn't so hard, except that Gigantomastia has side effects that you will have back pains, you will have neck pains. There are times that I have to walk to class and I'm thinking, man, my back, it is aching. And I used to cry. I used to cry a lot. I used to cry a lot. Just back in the closet, I used to cry. And my esteem was pretty bad until one day I woke up and I decided, if you're going to have this condition for the rest of your life, then you need to fix your esteem. So I started dressing up well. I started understanding my body and I started dressing it well. And that's why when I had the surgery, most of my friends were like, I thought you were okay. I'm like, yes, I was okay. But at night, I used to cry, man. Yes. And yeah, that was pretty much it in campus.
What about your siblings? How was what was their reaction towards your condition?
Well, you know, my mom has the same condition. My grandmother had the condition. I have an older sister who has quite large breasts, but they're not so big. They're not as big as mine were. So I think they pretty much understood that this is something that runs in the family, and they would not really pick on me for that. Yeah, they pretty much understood that this is what runs in the family.
Now take us to the surgery room and everything. How did you come to a decision just to say that you want to have a surgery?
So I was very skeptical about the surgery. Being a Christian, this is a very big topic as far as Christianity is concerned, because everyone looks at it as plastic surgery, and I was caught in that mix of thinking that I'm wronging God, and it's wrong for me to change my form and to change what I was made to look like. I was like, am I fixing or changing my destiny? All these things were playing in my mind. So I was pretty much very skeptical. So my mom introduces the thought of me having the surgery 2 years before I decide to have the surgery. And then I have friends who send me links. They're like, check this out, because the foundation was doing its work and they had airtime on TV and all those things. So someone would send me a link and tell me, oh, Gigantomastia are on KBC, make sure you go and watch them. But I was like, no, me, I'm not changing any form. I'm not changing anything. Even if I'm not okay with what I look like, I'm not changing it, because I don't think it's right with God. Then one day, I get, there's one time, sometime back in August of 2019, like I said, I sing. I think I'm going to say that a lot.
It's okay.
And I had a concert in Nakuru. So when we went for this concert, I remember having a skin infection. And the most affected part was this part, yeah? And because I used to wear 2 bras and a spaghetti top just to, give them firm support. I think I used to sweat a lot underneath, and then I would get infections. They would stink. They would really smell because of the heat. So this one time I get an infection on my skin, and this part is really affected, and I can't scratch properly. I have to lift and, give it a scratch. And then when I went for this concert, everything was wrong. My uniform wasn't fitting right, and everyone was just, I don't know if it was in my mind, but everyone was looking at me like, she looks different. I was so distorted during that whole experience. So I call up my friend and I tell her, I think I'm ready to have the surgery. And that's when I started having the conversation. I called my pastor and I tell them, please help me pray, because I do not know how to pray. And I call other friends, and of course I did not have the money. So there's an X amount of money that you're supposed to pay, and I don't have it. So my friend tells me, open up a WhatsApp group. And I open up a WhatsApp group, and it's like people were ready to help. It's like everyone had seen how passionate I was about music, but there was some form of hindrance because of my physical appearance. And people from church came in. I opened the WhatsApp group and we raised the funds, and I decided that I'm having the surgery in December of 2019. But before that, I had to get a diagnosis from Dr. Gidaiga. The diagnosis was done in October of 2019. So October, the diagnosis is done, and I have my surgery in December of 2019.
Wow, wow, wow. It's quite a long journey.
And it is a journey.
Yeah, it is a long journey. So how long did you take to heal?
Let me just briefly talk about the surgery. So what happens is that they take out tissues and fat. Yes. And
before you tell us about that,
okay,
how many kgs were you carrying?
They took out 3.5 kgs.
Each or
both? Everything, both. Yes. Wow. 3.5. So you can think about the 2 kg unga and imagine that I had 3.5 kg of fat. Yeah. Yes. So that is what they take out. I remember I was in hospital I didn't stay long because I had my surgery done. I got into theater on the night of 14th. I got into theater at around 9. The surgery takes 4 hours. 4 hours, yes. So I was out on 15th. I stayed in the hospital on that Sunday. and Monday, and I was discharged on a Tuesday. So I didn't stay long in the
Stay long.
hospital.
Yeah.
Well, the surgery is, you're not ideally a sick person. It is just, well, the body has to go through some change, yeah? So I took 4 weeks. 4 weeks. Well, if you read on the internet, you can see other people who talk about having healed after 2 weeks. After 2 weeks, they went back to what they used to do. But I wanted 4 weeks. That's how long I stayed out of work. And you obviously cannot do heavy duties. You have to lie on your back for a certain period until the doctor advises that you can now lie on your side. Yes. Let me talk about the effects of the surgery. Well, I had some fears going on to the surgery, yeah, because I was scared that my children could not breastfeed. There's a chance that your children cannot breastfeed. Yeah, but nowadays the doctors use a method that allows for the patient to breastfeed even after. Then you could lose your sensation completely.
So that is the side effect. Huh?
Yeah, those are some of the side effects. You could lose your sensation, your nipples may not regain sensitivity, yes. And then the breast could not take the shape that you really wanted them to take. And then there's the scars. Well, I wasn't really worried about the scars, really. I think these side effects are small compared to what you go through when you have gigantomastia. So my greatest fear would have been the ability to breastfeed. But I'm clinging on to the 50-50. If it happens, good. If it doesn't, good. But the doctor says it will happen.
Is there probability of reoccurrence?
No. No. At least, yeah, that's the first question that everyone asks. When you gain, you lose weight, your breasts, your breast will still maintain the same size.
Okay.
Yes.
Now tell me, after healing process, how did your friends react, your family? I remember there is a time, you've just talked about your father, that is the time you had a discussion with him.
Yes.
Kindly take us through that.
Well, joy. Let me tell you, I don't think I've lived long, but I cannot compare the feeling of waking up from surgery to anything in this world. I probably will get married or get children, and then that will be the best thing that happens to me. But now, the best thing that happened to me was waking up. You are 3.5 kgs less. And I was feeling very light, very young. I was ready for the world. I was ready for it, but Corona happened. But I was ready. I was ready for the world. That is by far the best feeling ever. The healing process itself is not very easy. While I was going through the healing, I developed something called fat necrosis. And fat necrosis is where the fat tissues harden because of the trauma they've gone through, yeah? So they harden. So what happens after the surgery, you have to wear a post-op bra. That is really tight. It's like, what are they called? The bras that we use when you go to the gym. Yeah, so they're really tight. So I have fat necrosis and I have that bra. So it was a bit uncomfortable, yes. And then the fact that you have to lie on your back. I did not enjoy the healing process, but I don't like to say that.
How many times did you get back to a doctor after the surgery?
After the surgery, I think the most important visits were like 4, because they have to do the cleaning, they have to check the wounds, yeah, and do all those assessments. So the most important visits were like 4. Yes.
Take us through the cost. As much as you've told us about the WhatsApp group, people contributed towards that. How much does it cost? And can insurance chip in? Yeah.
Insurance cannot chip in because according to insurance, and you can see the attitude, according to insurance, it is a cosmetic surgery. And let me also say something else. Most people assume that we're doing this for the aesthetics. We want to look good. That's not it.
But they don't understand the pain that you feel,
gone through.
Especially on your back.
Yes.
I remember there was sometimes I used to see you carrying the rollers, and I was like, Pauline, where are you taking the rollers? So to me, I didn't know that it was about the breast issue.
Yeah. So insurance really doesn't take care of it, and I wish we could put up a front and just have them include this as a medical condition. You understand? So the cost, that is what I was going to answer. If you walk directly into a hospital, it could cost between 500 to 800,000. I remember writing to a hospital one time and they gave me a quotation of 550,000. I just dropped. I just started feeling like my life was over. But when you go through the foundation, they can cater for 70% of the cost, and then you have to look for the 30. So it depends on how much the surgery costs at that particular time, and then they cater for the 70%. Then something else you will need every time you go to the hospital for the dressing, you will pay a fee, and then you'll have to get the post-op bra, and then of course there's antibiotics and painkillers just for the first few days after the surgery. And then you had asked me how my friends reacted. At first, I was scared to post my photos online, but then it's all good. Like when the first time that my story came out and it was posted on Nation's Facebook page, oh my goodness, I got some comments that were really bad.
Really?
They were bad.
Oh
Daisy.
my God.
And you know, my friends had seen these comments, so they didn't want me to read them. Mostly people talked about me just, you know, going against God's will. Others were insisting that I looked better before. Others were like, why would you go through such a surgery, and you know, stuff like that. And I read them on my bed, and I remember really feeling bad. I responded to a few, and some of them actually apologized, because you know, they don't have an understanding of what this is. They don't have an understanding of what this is. Yeah.
Would you kindly look at the camera and advise those who have the same condition, kindly give them hope, advise them on what they can do as you face the camera?
Okay. So I get a lot of text messages from people who go through the same condition. And what I would advise is that you go through the foundation, because they're going to cater for 70% of the cost. But before then, because it's still some amount of money that you need to pay, talk to people about how you feel. Because, you know, talking really helps. It helps. It really helps. And just expressing that this is what I am going through, and then finding out that there are other people who go through the same thing, will help you a big deal. And if you cannot find someone to talk to about it, you can look for me on my Instagram, and then we can have these conversations, and I can help you and tell you how I raised my own funds and how to get through to the foundation. And the other thing, Daisy,
Yes.
it is important for me to mention that for the girls who are going through gigantomastia, it is important to seek therapist or a counselor, you know, before the surgery and even after. I think this is something that I really need to advocate for, because the surgery will take care of the physical, but there was the mental. And I think even after the surgery, I've had a period of self-finding, because okay, now people think I'm probably 22, 21. I've had people say that I'm 22, 21, but I've lived a huge part of my life thinking I'm 35. So there are things that you need to unlearn. There are things that you need to let go of, even as you start embracing yourself as this new person. Yes. So important, seek counseling. Yes.
So, as you've spoken about that, I would also like you to speak to those who criticize people who have such condition.
Ignorance, I'm sorry, but ignorance. You know, the other thing that I need to say before I even talk to them is that we don't have enough information about gigantomastia out there. That is the truth. Like I was telling someone else, most of the people that have had gigantomastia have a very big belly. We have very big bellies, and people can, because I remember when I was small, and what started showing was my belly, and I would get picked on for that, and I didn't know what was ahead of me. It was I like to think that it's a preparation for helping to balance the weight up front here. So ignorance, and I don't blame people, because not enough information about gigantomastia is out there. But you can just exercise empathy. Just be nice. And not just to people who have gigantomastia, but to everyone. If you do not understand what someone is going through, it's best not to comment on it. Yes.
Thank you so much, Pauline.
Thank you.
You've impacted a lot of knowledge to us, and I know ladies out there who are suffering the same, they will actually get to the foundation.
Yes.
But even as we speak right now, would you kindly give us your social media handle and also give us direction, or even to the direction to the foundation, so that at least they can get access to it?
Okay. So you can find the foundation on both Facebook and Instagram as Gigantomastia Foundation. But if you wish to go through me so that we can just have these discussions, my Instagram handle is Pauline Buoga. Then you can send me a DM, and I will get back to you.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Pauline.
Thank
we
you.
truly appreciate you coming here.
Thank
I know
you.
next time I'll call you so that you tell us more about the
Worship.
vocal training. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me. I think this is a good course. It helps to put the word out there on this matter. Yes. Thank you so much. And I'm a woman of many words. Oh my goodness. I can over express. I am really sorry if I was talking over you. Yeah.
It's okay.
It's the passion.
It is the passion, yes, I know.
Yeah.
And also the suffering.
I know. And then right now I'm just a totally new being.
New being.
Very happy.
Sure.
Yes.
Once more, thank you so much coming here.
Thank
we truly
you.
appreciate as the Tracydee TV.
Thank you, Daisy. Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Okay.